That was absolutely incredible. I did notice there are a few of you not dancing, so we're going to give you a chance to work that out here in a few minutes. There will be no dancing in this portion, and here's why. Number one, I'm too old. And number two, you just don't want to see that. And so we're going to take just a little bit of time away from dancing. I just want to share a thought with you as someone who has been to lots of youth ministry and kids ministry camps. I was youth pastor for a long time, been to lots of different locations where we did camp, and there are some things I know that happen at camp environments. Number one, kids love what they experience, and it's so much fun. There's no doubt about it. Did you guys have fun at camp? Yeah, so that's great. And then when they come back, there's kind of this letdown feeling that everything's not like it was at camp. And so today what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about how we keep that camp feeling all year long. And so if you're an adult sitting there and you're thinking, I didn't go to camp this year. Yeah, but here's the good news. The good news for you is that you come to church every week. And every week for you can be one of those experiences that lifts you up and moves you forward so you can take that kind of energy and excitement throughout the rest of your week. And so we'll get there in just a moment. But before we do, let me just share with you my brief camp experience. When I was a youth pastor, we did camps at lots of various places on college campuses. At Lake of the Ozarks, there's a retreat center down there that's fantastic. I've been to camps at churches, but the camp that I grew up at is in Lamont, Missouri, and it is called the West Central Christian Service Camp. Rolls off the tongue, right? See, here's a picture of that camp. That is the chapel building, and you see how plush and luxurious that is. Just copy and paste that to the bunks, and that's where we stayed. It was lots of people in one room, and it was loud, and it was smelly because we were boys, and it was just, that's what camp was. That's the way that I grew up. And what I knew to be true about camp was that when I went, that it would be an incredible experience, and I would go home, and eventually everything that I had experienced would fade away. Now, the hope is that eventually you reach a point where you have a bump in growth and you don't recede back to your previous camp, but maybe some version of yourself that was there, because at camp, we are our best version of ourselves. We're surrounded by like-minded people. We're having so much fun. It's an absolute blast. And we find ourselves taking steps forward spiritually. We're growing into the person that we want to be. And I hope that maybe you experience that when you come to church on a somewhat regular basis, that you walk in the doors, that you experience love and grace and forgiveness, and we worship and we hear teaching, and you leave here thinking, I wish that I could just do that all week long. That's camp multiplied across 5 days. The first day of camp is the most fun, right? It's the most energy, at least. It's everybody getting together and trying to figure out who's riding on what bus and who's sleeping where and getting everything all set up. And then Tuesday, it's like you're in the groove. You know what's going on. You've got this camp thing figured out. You're an old pro. You know, you got a little bit of a swagger. Wednesday is always the best day of camp. It just is. It is the best day. You're the most comfortable. The speaker is almost always their top-notch, best communicator. They've got incredible experiences for you. Wednesday's awesome. And you stay up too late Wednesday night, and the back half of the week, you're just a little bit tired, right? By Thursday, it's like, oh my gosh, we've got another whole day of doing this stuff, and I'm running out of energy. And then by Friday, everybody's ready to go home and sort of sleep in their own bed and get more than 3 hours of sleep, right? That's the way camp goes. And yet, we go filled with excitement and energy, and we come home filled with excitement and energy because of what happens in the middle. There's this incredible story that runs parallel. Let me see if you can connect some of the dots with me here in Luke chapter 9. About 8 days after Jesus said this, he took Peter and John and James, those are our three main characters with Jesus, with him, and he went up to a mountain to pray. As he was praying, Jesus is praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became bright as a flash of lightning. Two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor talking with Jesus. They spoke about his departure, which he was to bring to fulfillment at Jerusalem. Peter and his companions were very sleepy, but when they became fully awake, they saw this glory and the two men standing with him. This is the good part. As the men were leaving Jesus, Peter said to him, Master, it is good for us to be here with you. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. In other words, Peter, James, and John went to camp. They went up the mountain with Jesus, and they had an incredible experience. And this experience was so good that they didn't want to come home. And I can't tell you how many groups I've sat with at camp, and as we're nearing the end of the week, there are a few tears shed because they don't want to go back to reality, because home's not that great, because school's not that fun, because the things that they're going back to are the things that keep them from becoming all that they can possibly be. There's this temptation to want to stay, and yet for each of us, our reality is that when we reach a spiritual high, at some point we have to go back to the norm. And so what is it that keeps us moving forward and helps us keep growing after we have a great spiritual experience? Here's 3 things that I think make camp what it is. Number 1, there are limited distractions. We aren't on our phones as much. We aren't doing the things we regularly do. We don't have our normal routines, and so we're able to settle into something different. The distractions are limited. The second one is that we're focused on worship. We get up in the morning, and whether we usually read our Bible or not, at camp, everyone opens their Bible. Have you noticed that? And it's crazy what it does to set your day off in the right direction. You have a morning worship gathering. You have opportunities to talk and pray all day, and then you end your day focused on Jesus. And then the third thing is that you're surrounded by an incredible community. And I just have to wonder, if we made those 3 things a regular part of our life, if maybe, perhaps, we would experience camp all year long. And that's our hope, right? Our hope is that what we experienced for 1 week isn't just 1 week, but that the energy and excitement that we have here today would last all year long. Every week, our kids ministry does something similar to the dance thing you just saw, right? It's high energy, it's fun, it's energetic, it's exciting. Every Wednesday night, our students have teaching and worship, and they gather together in groups of community. We work hard to make sure that the environments we provide at this place help students take a next step in their faith journey. And so to you as the church, I want to say thank you. Because I've had the privilege to watch this event happen year after year, and I thought, it would be great if our whole church could see this. Because the energy and excitement of teenagers, though it may not be theologically precise, shows us an incredible picture of what it looks like to take a next step in our relationship with Jesus. And we find that extremely valuable. In fact, so valuable that we're making a few tweaks to what we do in our family ministry department. And so I just want to share with you a couple of changes that are happening on our staff. This seems like a great time for you to celebrate with us what God is doing. The first one, you've met Haley Schuhart. She was out here earlier. She talked to you a little bit. I think we have a picture of her back here. Haley is transitioning into a new role, expanding her role from kids ministry director to family ministry director. Yes. Haley is incredibly strategic. She's so incredibly detailed that she has the mind and the heart that it takes to help us move in a direction that we have a coherent discipleship strategy from birth to 18. And she's going to lead us in that journey. Haley is a blessing to our church, and giving her more opportunities to do that will only make the summit better. The second thing is we have an opening in our student ministry department. We do not currently have a youth pastor, and so today I have the privilege to share with you that effective a few days ago, our new student ministry director is the one and only Mr. Micah Schuhart. I'm glad y'all are excited, but they were the most excited, and that is a huge win. Micah is going to oversee discipleship and student ministry, and we know that Micah can't do that alone. That's a lot of work, that's a lot of jobs, and so we had the opportunity to have one of our interns stay on with us long term, and so beginning tomorrow will be her first official day as our discipleship and student ministry coordinator is Monica Wingert. Yeah, Monica. Monica has grown up in our church and obviously has incredible relationships with our students. We are headed in an incredibly fun direction, a place where the next generation continues to propel us forward as we take next steps as a church.